Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. That was quite possibly the most aggressive clap I have ever done in an intro on my channel. Welcome, hi, how is everybody? We are going to be doing a dry shampoo showdown here today. I have 11 different dry shampoos sitting right here in front of me that we are going to be talking through, which means, you guessed it, I've been applying a new dry shampoo every single week for the past 11-ish weeks. It's actually been closer to like 16 weeks, but some of them were so bad that I felt like I didn't even want to waste your time talking about in this video. So I narrowed it down to the 11 that I feel like you guys would be most interested in. There's a lot here that you guys requested that I picked up for you specifically, but also a lot of these are top rated dry shampoos and dry shampoos that I at one point or another have considered to be my all-time favorite. So it was actually very eye-opening to put them all head to head and look at all the footage after, because some I feel like I used to think were so amazing, and now that I've seen them compared to others, I'm like, wait, that's not as amazing as I once thought. So we are going to dive into it. No price point was left behind here today. Some are as affordable as like $4. Some are as unaffordable as like $40. But we're comparing them all as equals. Before we jump into it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like content like this, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell. If you are feeling extra generous, leave a comment below letting me know what your current favorite dry shampoo is. Thank you so much for doing all of those things. Really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, so I appreciate it so much. Instagram and TikTok handles are right here. Lightroom preset filters for editing Instagram photos, and my merch, if it has launched by now, is also in my description box below. I'm not sure if this is going to be ready yet, but if it's not, it's going to be very soon, so stay tuned. So everything you could need from me listed in the description box below. That is everything. Let's jump into this. We have a lot to talk through. Let's start off with this one from IGK. So it's called their Direct Flight Multitasking Matcha Dry Shampoo. This has such a nice lightweight formula. It pretty much just feels like air. It's not too dry, it's not too wet, there's no texture or grit, so I really do think it feels completely weightless in the hair. Like, you can't tell that you just applied dry shampoo, and there is no white cast. So all of those things are amazing. Oil absorption is a little less impressive. I would rate it like a 3.5 out of 5. It's just not the most heavy duty in that department, especially now that I've tried so many that definitely are much more so. And volume, I would honestly give it like a 2 out of 5, which I feel is being a little bit generous, because I don't really think this gives me much volume at all, again, compared to the rest of these. I really like the smell. Fresh, but also kind of masculine. It's good. It's good. We're off to a great start describing scents, my goodness. So I would say that this is going to be great for those of you that have little to moderate amounts of grease or oil at the root and are just looking for something that also gives your hair a little bit of texture but with no residue or grit at all. If you're on the lookout for something like that, I think you will be obsessed. If you have an incredibly greasy scalp, this definitely will not be for you, but we have plenty that will be later on in this video. Next, we have the Amika Perk Up Dry Shampoo. So this one has more of a damp formula. Like, when you're spraying it, you can feel that wetness, but it does fully dry down. And then at that point, I would consider this to be completely weightless in the hair as well. So I love that about it. And it also does not have a white cast. Oil absorption for this one, I would say it's a little bit better than IGK. I'd probably rate it like a 3.5 out of 5. But again, it's not crazy impressive, and volume I do think is a little bit better than IGK as well. I would rate this like a 3 out of 5 for volume. Scent of this is incredible. Oh my gosh. Amika hair care products smell amazing, so that is no surprise. It smells very florally and romantic. I really love it. So similar to IGK, I would say that this one is going to be for those of you that want moderate amounts of oil absorption, a little bit of volume, but nothing crazy in either of those departments. And I would actually say that this is going to be perfect for those of you that really don't like that flat powdery look that a lot of dry shampoos have, because this doesn't look like that at all on the scalp, and I would actually say it has a little tiny bit of a sheen. So if you want something like that and something that has an incredible smell, you will love Amika. Next up, we have the OGX Extra Strength Refresh and Revitalize Argan Oil of Morocco Dry Shampoo. So I used to religiously use OGX dry shampoos a few years ago. I loved them. They do have different formulas that I actually do think perform differently. So aside from this one, I also use the white coconut bottle, and I actually do think that I preferred that one to this, but they're pretty similar at the end of the day. So this formula is really close to the IGK formula, where it pretty much just feels like a dry mist, kind of like air, really no residue at all. This, I would say, You can get a little bit of a white cast with it, but it's pretty much only if you spray too close to the scalp. That's something that I also definitely did not do perfectly when I was applying these. If you're trying to avoid a white cast, it's best to hold the dry shampoo like 10, 12 inches away from the scalp, and some I just wasn't paying attention and got way too close like I did here and then ended up with a little bit of a white cast, but otherwise I don't really get one, and it's super easy to rub into the scalp or rub into the hair and have it fully absorb. I would give oil absorption a 4 out of 5 here. I definitely do think it does a little bit more than the first two, but it still is not the absolute best that I've ever tried, and I would say this is a good 3.5 out of 5 for volume. This smell is even more masculine than the IGK option. I actually do think it's so weird spraying this to smell it. It smells like Moroccan oil products. Or am I just thinking, did anyone use the drugstore Moroccan oil back in the day? Was it from OGX? It probably was, which is exactly what this smells like. So that may make no sense to some of you. I personally love it, but if you're not into something like that and you want something more fruity or florally or feminine, then I would go for a different one. But I think all around this is a great dry shampoo. I think if you want, again, kind of moderate amounts of oil absorption, a little bit better than those first two, but at a drugstore price, then OGX will be your girl. Next up, we have Hask. So this is their charcoal with citrus purifying dry shampoo. And this does also have a really wet formula. It fully dries down, but it's not one that I would consider to be completely weightless, because you can feel it a little bit. Like, it doesn't feel like you have a freshly clean scalp, but it's not super heavy and it doesn't feel unpleasant to me. I have definitely tried dry shampoos in the past that just feel gross and like gunky in the hair, and honestly none of these are like that, because like I said, I didn't want to waste your time with something like that. White cast here is super minimal. Again, it's kind of something that I only get if I'm spraying too close, not really paying attention. I would also give oil absorption here a 4 out of 5 and volume a 3.5 out of 5. I think it does a really good job, but it still is not the absolute best that I've ever tried. And this one definitely does have a citrusy, orangey, lemony, which is what citrus is, scent. So if you wanted a drugstore price point, same rating as OGX, but you weren't into that kind of smell, then this will be the one for you to try. Next, we have a Dove dry shampoo. So this I do not have to hold here with me and annoyingly spray in the air. I actually gave a few of these away after applying them on camera because I clearly have a lot to get through. The product clutter in my life is making me short of breath. It's really stressing me out. So I'm just trying to give things away when I know that I simply will not go through them. So rest in peace. This one is no longer with me, but let's talk through it. So it's the Dove Refresh and Revive Without Water Detox and Purify Dry Shampoo. This one I would say has a powdery kind of drier formula. It does leave a little bit of residue in the hair, but it's nothing that's heavy. So I would say it's more of a lightweight feel in the hair because it doesn't bother me, but it's not completely traceless. This one I don't get a white cast with at all, even if I hold it up close to my scalp. I feel like I don't notice a white cast, which is very impressive. And I would say that this one gets a solid 4 out of 5 for both oil absorption and volume. It's really good, and I have to be honest, I did not have high hopes for this because there have been other Dove dry shampoos that I've tried in the past that did not work for me at all, that I was very unimpressed by, and this one I was pleasantly surprised by, so I think it's good. This also has more of a masculine scent too. I really liked it, kind of cologne-y. It was yummy. So this is a solid drugstore dry shampoo, one of the best out of all of these because we're getting more oil absorption, we're getting a little bit more volume, so I could imagine that a lot of you would really enjoy this too. Another that I do not have with me, which actually may be surprising to some of you, is the Tresemme Between Washes Dry Shampoo. I used to rave about this. I was obsessed with it, and it's because it's so lightweight and really doesn't leave residue in the hair, and I hadn't really tried a dry shampoo like that, especially from the drugstore before. I feel like at that point, everything that I was trying felt heavy and gritty and just, again, like gunky and gross in the hair. So I really don't feel anything with this Tresemme dry shampoo. It does have a tiny bit of a white cast, but I would consider it to be minimal. It's something that easily rubs into the hair. Really no concern there. Oil absorption and volume, again, I would rate a 4 out of 5 for both. Really good, but I'm not as blown away by this as I once was. Now that I have tried so many and actually looked at the footage side by side, I thought that this was going to be a 5 out of 5 for oil absorption. And you know, I have to say, It's not there anymore. Then we have the Pureology Refresh and Go Dry Shampoo. This is actually almost gone. I'll let you know if I'll repurchase in a second. So this one also has more of a powdery dry formula. I think that this one is weightless in the hair. I really can't feel it at all. This does have more of an apparent white cast that I do have to spend a little bit more time and effort rubbing into the hair. If I just were to spray it and not rub it, there'd be whiteness on the scalp. So if you have really dark hair, you may not enjoy this because it does take a little bit of effort, and I'm blonde, so I feel like if you had really like jet black hair, this would be a no. But it offers great oil absorption. I would rate this like a 4.5 out of 5 and a solid 4 out of 5 for volume. Really good. Also has a fresh kind of light scent, really nothing too noteworthy about the smell. Kind of like cottony almost. Clean laundry, you know? I really do like the smell. So I do think that this is great. I know that this is also one that I've recommended in the past, but again, now that I put these all head to head, I'm like, is it worth it for me to spend this kind of money on a dry shampoo when I can spend like $4 on others that will do the same thing, if not a little bit better? Not personally worth it for me anymore, but I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money and what is worth it for you. So I thought I would still include it in this video in case you're interested. All right, we have 4 dry shampoos left, and these were the 4 that impressed me the absolute most. So let's start off with one that you guys really wanted me to review, which is Living Proof. This is definitely one that I used to use back in the day, but it's been a while. So I was hoping after trying all of these that it wouldn't be as amazing anymore because it's definitely not cheap, but it's really good, I'll admit. This has more of a powdery formula. It does have a little bit of texture and residue with it, so does not feel traceless in the hair. Again, it's not anything that bothers me personally. White cast, yes, I sprayed this way too close to my scalp, so that white cast was partially my fault, but again, is another one that you're gonna wanna be careful with if you do have darker hair. Oil absorption, 5 out of 5. It really, really does suck those up, mask them, whatever you want to call it. It completely conceals the oil situation. So if you have a really greasy scalp, it is good. It is good. But volume here, I would say I was less impressed with. I would rate this like a 3.5 out of 5. Decent, not the most amazing. I really was hoping for more volume from this, especially for the price point. Like if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I need this to be 100% score across all categories, and it wasn't quite there. And then this one I would say has more of a clean smell, so kind of similar to Pureology. So overall, Living Proof, yes, it's an amazing dry shampoo. I do think that it's worth the hype. Have I found some that I think perform even better for a fraction of the cost? I have. Next we have Batiste. So I talked about this in my drugstore hair care favorites video, and while I loved it at the time, I feel like I did not truly understand how amazing it was until I had a chance to again film this video and look back at footage. It's so good, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So I would say that this has a really comparable formula to Living Proof. Drier, powdery, does leave a little bit of residue, but nothing that feels gross or gritty, kind of middle of the ground when it comes to residue. Also does leave a white cast, but this one really easily blends into the hair for me, so no major concerns there. And this gets a solid 5 out of 5 for both oil absorption and volume. It's so good. Oh my gosh, even on my dirtiest hair days, this works wonders on my hair. I look refreshed, ready to go. I don't look like I have dirty hair. I just look like I have nice kind of textured, voluminous, tousled, not trying too hard to look perfect hair. My hand gestures, you guys, I can't. I do have to say though that this is pretty fragrant. This one specifically is their coconut and exotic tropical scent. I like it, but like you can smell it in the hair for a while. And this one right here, the other one I have from them, is their fruity and carefree pink pineapple scent, and I just don't really like this. So I'm not sure if they have any that are more subtle than these. I know they do have a lot of different scents, but that would be the one thing I would love to see change. Just something a little bit more toned down, like if it smelled like Amika, but worked like this, it would be perfect. So top 3 in this video, one of the absolute best dry shampoos, both of all time and at the drugstore. I would still highly recommend, but even more so now. Okay, second to last is actually a tie for first place for me. I could not decide between the two. I think that they are both amazing, and this one, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's the Redken Deep Clean Dry Shampoo, and if you watch my weekly hair vlog where I showed you guys how I take care of my hair throughout the week, You saw this in action. You saw after a run how I looked like I didn't even go on a run. Insane. We'll get to it. Formula and feel here is pretty much identical to Batiste, but the one thing that's a little bit different and definitely the downfall of this product is that the white cast is super intense. It's a little shocking at first. For me, I can fully get it to rub into the hair, but I do have to spend time with it and really work with it. So I usually end up just kind of leaving it because I actually love to use dry shampoo to kind of lighten the roots when it's time for me to get my hair done, but I don't feel like going yet. You know what I mean? But I could see if you had really dark hair how that may not fully blend in with the rest of your hair color, which would be a bummer because this is so insane. Oil absorption, if I could give a 6 out of 5, I would. Not only does it fully absorb everything when I initially spray it, but like I said, I can go on a sweaty run and come back and it looks like I didn't do anything. It looks like I was laying on the couch eating chips, producing no sweat, and it also lasts forever. I can spray this and 4 days later, there's zero change with the level of grease on my scalp, or at least it looks like there's zero change. So this, I have to say right now, is the only dry shampoo that I would be willing to spend non-drugstore pricing on and continue to repurchase time after time after time. Which says a lot because typically I'm like, I'll try something out once and then go back to drugstore pricing. I'm telling you, I would continue to repurchase this over and over. It's that amazing. And scent here is really nice and clean and fresh. So for this, I would say if you have incredibly greasy hair, if you get really sweaty throughout the week and you really, really need something to help with that, if you're trying to wash your hair less and you just don't know where to turn, Redken Deep Clean, worth every penny. Last, but certainly not least, is the Not Your Mother's Clean Freak Refreshing Dry Shampoo. This, you guys, I used to use this back in college, like I'm pretty sure freshman year when I was 18. And then as time went on and I tried out more dry shampoos, it had just been so long since I used it that I assumed it wasn't as good as the rest of the ones that I had been trying and new launches, but I was severely mistaken. Oh my gosh. So the hair, the hair situation on the day that I filmed this was disgusting. I have been and was this day testing out a new shampoo that's not even really a shampoo, honestly, that I will be doing a video on, so stay tuned, but it's something that made my hair look immediately filthy. Like this was the same day that I washed my hair. That's not a joke. This was the day that I washed my hair. Yeah. So disgustingly dirty. So I was like, nothing can save me at this point, but I know that this one is good, so we'll go in with it. What? This got rid of everything. I've never seen anything like this in my life. So maybe a 7 out of 5. Maybe I do think this is a little bit better than Redken. They're a little different because I feel like Redken really wins in the longevity category, where I do think I would have to reuse this a few days later. Redken lasts a little longer, but 4 day of, holy crap, fully deletes all of my problems on my scalp. And I also think that this gets a good 5 out of 5 for volume because my hair was so limp because of how greasy it was, and this just completely brought it back to life. So what the heck? Another clean scent, really not much to say about it. This is their original fragrance. I actually do think they have a fragrance-free option if you have been looking for that, which is great. So I would say kind of same thing to Redken here. If you have incredibly greasy hair, if you're trying to wash your hair less, if you work out a lot and get sweaty and you want a drugstore price, this is gonna be the one for you. I can't believe that this ended up being number one. Again, after using it for so long, I just was like, it's not that good. I used to use it. No, it's that good. It's actually like the best. So, but that, my friends, is the 11th and final dry shampoo, meaning we have officially made it to the end of this video. So I really hope this helped you guys out. I hope that you found your perfect dry shampoo after watching this video. Let me know what that is in the comments below, and also let me know what your kind of favorite, not favorite, like what's most important to you in a dry shampoo. Is it super intense oil absorption? Is it being weightless in the hair? Is it no white cast? What's your top priority? That's what I'm trying to say. If you're interested in picking anything up after watching this video, I will have every single dry shampoo listed in my description box below. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please, please, please give it a thumbs up because, like I said, this took me 11 weeks to prepare for, so I would appreciate it so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Send my channel to a friend. Thank you so much for doing all of those things. It really does help me out. Stay tuned for my next video because that will be up in a few days, but until then, I hope you have a great few days.